What is up, guys? John Anthony from masculinedevelopment.com. And today we have a question about how to keep the conversation going without making it boring. Before I begin, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. If you enjoy red pill, no bullshit, just pure quality content, then please subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you will be notified whenever I upload a new video. So with that in mind, let me read the question that I got from our friend Philip. So Philip asks the following. He says, "Hey John, my question is, of course women like men with value and self-confidence, men with balls. That they do. Now let's say I'm in the club and I see a nice girl that I would like to take home. My problem is, what is an interesting conversation? Of course I go to her asking for an opinion or something, or be direct and say I need to know your name, but what after?" And he's referring to common openers, right? "Do you have some good examples for a convo? It's shitty to start talking about work or studies or that kind of bullshit." So I'm going to answer your question on two different levels, okay? The first level is the surface level. The better level to look at is the underlying frame and the deeper level, okay? So let's start with the deeper level. So the magic key to this entire thing is that it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Let me say it again. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So 93% of human communication, especially with women, because women are very socially attuned to this type of thing, is not verbal, but nonverbal. It's sub-communications with your body language, with your tone of voice, with your eye contact, with facial expressions, right? Most of communication is nonverbal. And so you're too concerned over what you're saying and not concerned enough with how you're saying it. So let me give you an example. Okay, I'm going to say the same line, but say it in two different ways to the camera. And I've been in my office all day. This is going to be kind of weird. I'm not really in a social mindset right now, but I'll do my best. Get some coffee. So I'm going to say the same line, but I'm going to say it in two different ways. Okay. The line is, what do you do for work? Okay, so here's the first way. "So what do you do for work?" Right? The second way is, "So what do you do for work?" Okay, now do you catch the difference? It wasn't that great. I'm not really in the zone right now, but the first one was a little bit more awkward, right? It was kind of forced. It was like, "So what do you do for work?" Right? Kind of just, keep the conversation going. Like, I don't really know where I'm leading with this. I'm just kind of trying to, get you to say something, right? The second one is a lot more nuanced. There's a lot more emotion to it. It was kind of curious, kind of, it'll make her wonder, like, what's he trying to say with that? Like, what does he mean by that, right? And that's what you want to go for, right? So, another example of that might be, say the line, "Are you from here?" Right? So you can say it like, "So, are you from here?" Or, "Are you from here?" Right? Obviously, there's a big difference there, right? Same words, but the first one is boring. It's just a logical question, right? The second one, "Are you from here?" It's kind of skeptical and implying that maybe she doesn't fit in, maybe she's not from here, there's something off, right? And that's the type of thing that, makes her wonder, and it creates intrigue, and it makes an interesting conversation, right? So it's not what you say, it's how you say it, okay? That being said, that is the deeper level answer. I'm going to give you some techniques now that you can use because obviously understanding the deeper level is important, but you can't really apply it immediately. So there's two techniques, two exercises actually, that I want to give you. The first one is rephrase every question as a comment. So rather than asking, "Where do you go to college?" Don't ask, say, "You look like you're a sophomore," or "You look like you go to an Ivy League school," right? Rather than asking, "Where do you work?" say, "You look like you work in a hospital," right? Rather than asking, I don't know, "Do you come here often?" say, "You look like a regular," right? It's more interesting, and it keeps things from getting into that sort of interview frame where you feel like you're just asking questions and like it's this tense interview, right? So that's the first exercise you can do. The second exercise is known as talk to the wall. And this is kind of a strange, weird pickup artist exercise. And what it is you set a timer, right? like my watch right here, and you set it for maybe 60 seconds to start. And you walk up to a wall and you just start talking. Whatever comes to your mind, it doesn't matter what it is, lower the bar for what you deem appropriate to say. Just blurt it out, okay? And the goal of this exercise is to unstifle you, right? So have you ever noticed how when you go out, it's always the first 30 minutes that's the hardest, right? It's always the first 30 minutes of talking to people and socializing that's kind of hard because you're not in that social mindset, right? You've been working all day, maybe like me right now, and you don't really feel like talking to people, right? You're kind of like in that logical, analytical way of thinking. But after that, once you kind of loosen up, it's a lot easier to talk and to connect with people. And that's kind of what the goal of this talk to the wall exercise is it's to get you unstifled and just saying things, right? You ever notice how when you're happy and you're just having fun and partying, you never ask yourself, oh, what do I say, right? You fucking say whatever you want to say, right? You say what comes to mind. It just comes out naturally because you're in the zone and you're not stifled. So I'm going to actually do the talk to the wall exercise with you right now, just to show you what it looks like. And again, I remember the first time that I went to a sort of pickup artist convention where we did this exercise, and it felt kind of strange, but it's a really good exercise to do just each day to practice because it does a couple of things. And I'll actually start right now because I am just talking to a camera, to the wall, right? It might feel like I'm talking to you, but I'm actually just talking to a fucking camera that's right in front of me. There's no one talking back. I'm just talking at it. So right now we've got 48 seconds to go. I forgot the point that I was trying to say, but I'm just gonna keep talking, keep babbling. Doesn't matter what I'm trying to say. I know I was gonna say something important, but if you do this exercise on a regular basis, what it does, I actually just remembered, what it does is it trains you to not care so much about external feedback, right? That's another thing that's gonna keep you stifled is you feel like, oh, what if I say this thing and then she reacts a certain way, right? What if I say X, Y, and Z and she has a negative reaction, right? Talking to the wall is a good way to overcome that because there's no external reaction, right? And another thing too that you might often get, and this is actually probably a lot more common, it is for me at least, it should be for you, than getting a negative interaction, is just getting a blasé interaction, right? So you walk up and you try to hook her, you try to say something. Timer actually just went up because I've been talking to the wall, to a fucking camera this whole time. That's the exercise, just keep talking. What happens a lot of the time is it's just very boring, right? You say something and she's just kind of like, right? Just kind of, it's called hot girl blasé. That's the term for it. And the way that you get over this, again, is you have to understand when she's doing that, she's not really giving you anything to hook, right? She's not giving you any feedback for what you're saying. So in a way, talking to the wall is similar to talking to a girl who's just kind of hearing you and acknowledging what you're saying, but not really interacting in the conversation and conversing back, right? So that's a great exercise you can do on a regular basis just to warm up. I like to do it for maybe, a minute or two before I go out. It really helps. And the goal, again, is to just keep talking. So a few tips. First one is lower the bar for what you deem being appropriate, right? It's not even what you say that matters. It's the fact that it's coming from you and it's your words that makes it important, right? Once I got this through my head, my game exploded, right? So if you ever watch guys that are in the zone that are just quote unquote naturals, you'll notice that like they say the dumbest shit, like the stupidest fucking shit, right? Like they'll literally, come into a room and comment on like the fucking couch and say, oh dude, this couch is fucking awesome, bro. Or just some stupid shit, right? But they don't even care, right? And it's almost infuriating if you don't understand this concept because you're watching them and you're like, how the fuck is this guy so charismatic, right? It's because he's not stifled. He's not filtering himself. There's something that's charismatic about people that don't filter themselves and just say what comes to mind. Now, will you offend people when you meet them? Of course. Fuck yeah, you will. If you're not offending people, then your game isn't tight enough, right? The whole point of going up to people and talking to them is to be polarizing, right? They should know very quickly if they like you or not. Typically, that's how it is when I approach a girl is I can either tell that there's instant chemistry right away or there's no chemistry at all, right? And that's what you want, right? So a lot of guys, they have this thing called what's it called? It's not a false metric. There's a better business name for it, but the idea is that basically they get in this frame of being a nice guy and just kind of saying things that don't rock the boat. And so they walk up to a girl, say nice things, etc. And they never get brutally rejected, but they never have girls make out with them and be into them and attracted to them, right? And so it's sort of this false metric that makes it seem like it might be a good thing because they're like, oh, well, I'm not getting rejected, right? But you're also not getting any attraction, right? So the goal is to be polarizing, right? You should be expressing yourself, and you should know very quickly whether you have chemistry with the girls that you're talking to and the guys too, or not, right? When I go up to someone, when I'm out, I know typically very quickly if I'm going to have chemistry with them or not, right? Again, that's part of being polarizing. Another tip is, again, not every girl is going to like you, okay? That's just part of the game, man. Not every girl is going to like you. So if they don't like you, then just move on. It's fine. Find another one, right? Another thing is use silence, right? So maybe not at first because you need to hook her, right? So there's something called the social hook point, which is where she's now starting to engage with you socially. So don't use this at first. Don't just go up and then use an opener and then be silent. But once you're a few minutes into the conversation, you can be silent. You don't have to talk all the time, right? Once she's talking to you, back to you, right? Give her space by being silent and allow her to engage with you, right? Oftentimes I see guys who they're doing really well, but they're just not giving her enough space to chase and to, qualify. But if you just use silence, right, realize you don't have to fill every fucking second of the conversation unless you're trying to hook her at first. But once you hook her, you don't have to do that. Just be silent, right? If she really wants to stick around and talk to you, which you should be able to tell based off of indicators of interest, which I talked about in my last video or one of my recent videos, then she'll fill in the conversation. She'll start saying things, right? That's a good indicator of interest that she wants to keep talking to you, obviously, right? Another thing too is you can still ask her the quote unquote boring questions, but one, ask them in a way that, like I said before, is more emotionally engaging, right? So what's a typical boring question? Maybe something like, do you come here often, right? Again, let me see if I can muster up this fucking charisma right now, even though I've been in my office for like 12 hours. So, the difference between, so do you come here often? Or, so do you come here often, right? Or maybe saying it like, so you come here often, right? There's more juice to it. Like there's more weight to it. There's more emotional information being transmitted, to put it logically, in, that second way of saying it, than if you just say, so do you come here a lot, like a fucking robot, right? Another thing too is, again, I'll ask boring questions sometimes. In fact, when I know that she's interested in me, I'll ask all the fucking boring questions in the world, man. And the reason why is because I want to know if I'm going to end up liking her or not, right? If she says that she works some typically whenever a girl says like she works for the government, almost immediately I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to like you, right? Government jobs are fucking boring, man. Like who the fuck wants to sit at a desk all day? Fuck that. That's boring, right? And obviously I'm generalizing, right? There's exceptions, but if she says maybe, oh, I'm a dancer, right? Then I'm like, oh, okay, so this, I know more about her, right? I'm like, okay, this girl is good for maybe, dating for a little bit, but probably not a good long-term relationship if she's a dancer, AKA stripper, right? So ask the boring questions in an interesting way, right? A good way you can kind of get a feel for this is, again, watch the examples that I gave in this video. They're not perfect, obviously. Maybe I'll compile a set of examples sometime. If you want me to do that, let me know down below. But, look at charismatic movie stars, right? Watch interviews, right? Like they'll get hit with these kind of boring questions sometimes, and the way that they answer the questions are very interesting, even though they're very simple, right? So like Robert Downey Jr. is a good example of this. Maybe like Chris Hemsworth or what's his name? Chris Pratt, the guy who played fucking Captain America, whatever the hell his name is, Chris Evans or something, all these Chris's. But you get the point, right? Watch, James Bond movies, right? It's not so much what you say, it's how you say it. And that's really the underlying message of this entire video, guys, is you can use the techniques, you can use the, things where you rephrase every question as a fucking comment and where you talk to the wall and blah, blah, blah. But generally speaking, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Okay. Now, let me briefly touch upon the sort of thing that I didn't really answer that you kind of implied that you wanted me to answer, which is what's the intermediary conversation between meeting her and having chemistry, right? And so the answer is it can be whatever the fuck you want it to be. I know that's not a very helpful answer that you want to hear. It's not a helpful answer that you want to hear, but it's the truth, right? There's no set framework, right? In my courses, one framework, though, that I teach is the OS framework, and that stands for open, social hook point, sexual hook point, and extraction. And that's beyond the scope of this video, but the idea is that there's the open, like you said in the email, right? There's the open. And then between the open and getting her to engage with you is this gap, right? And what you want to do is keep talking and carry the burden of the conversation, right? So again, it doesn't fucking matter if you ask boring questions, whatever, right? But maybe she'll give you a response. Maybe she'll say something like, oh, I do this, right? And just say something that's polarizing, right? That's a big thing too, guys. Just be polarizing. You don't have to be fucking agreeable with everyone, right? And what you'll find is that when you're just kind of a dick, not in like a mean way, but just, what you think and what you feel, you just say it, you don't care. Girls will either hate you or love you. And that's what you want. Because you want girls to stick around that like you for who you are. And the girls that don't, you want them to fuck off, right? So I hope this helps. Again, if you like my content, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Hit the notifications bell so you will be notified when I update this channel with more content. And as always, I will see you guys next time.